All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Passive House Accelerator's 7th Global Passive House Happy Hour of our 2nd year and episode number 59. Thanks for joining us. I'm Prudence Ferreira. I'm a senior member of the Carbon Neutral Design Group at BR+A Consulting Engineers and lead their Passive House team. And for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, either live or via video, welcome. You're in the right place, whether you're a homeowner or a professional in the building industry, teacher, student, curious in learning or expert in learning about building science, passive house, zero energy, zero carbon, electrification, and retrofitting our built environment to reduce GHG emissions. You're in the right place. We have got a packed show this time. And so I'm going to keep my remarks to a bare minimum and invite you all to unmute yourselves now and joining me in opening the show with a toast to the folks that enable us to do the work we do, our clients, our sponsors, and the staff of PH Accelerator and all of the nonprofits all over the world that promote Passive House. Cheers.
Cheers,
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so mute yourselves back and settle in. We've got several special guests tonight. Our featured guest is a North American Passive House pioneer, originally from Germany, Tim Eian, who's been doing Passive House in Minnesota for 15 years and consulted on the first certified modern day Passive House projects in North America. And we'll be hearing from him about a recent residential project and his cold climate. But first, I'd love to introduce a sister redheaded Passive House woman, Georgia Saar, who is joining us after 1 a.m. German time, right on. And she manages the International Passive House Association, communicating with stakeholders worldwide on Passive House principles and policy. She's going to give us an update on some exciting international developments. Over to you, Georgia.
Okay, so I have been taught how to do this, so I just need to share, optimize screen, share computer sound. Excellent. All right then, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. I'm getting some kind of warning. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Excellent. So thank you for inviting me to join you tonight. I am here to talk about our Efficiency, the First Renewable Energy Campaign, and also about a little bit about the work that EFA does, and of course, who we are. So I have already been introduced. My name's Georgia, and I manage the International Passive House Association with my two colleagues, Francesca Rova here on the top right, and Karl Halbach on the bottom left. We also have a student, Lakshmi Arvind, who joined us back in January, and she supports us half of the week as well. So the International Passive House Association, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, was founded back in 2010. It was a big year for the Passive House Institute because they also opened up a second office in Innsbruck, Austria. And we were really founded to bring the global community and really the growing international Passive House community together, because up until that point, it had been very German and Eurocentric, and we noticed a growing number of Passive House professionals in the US and Canada, but also in the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand. So really getting everybody together. And indeed, we have grown since then. This year we reached 5,000 members, and that is in large part thanks to our partner organizations. We call them affiliates. We have 22 currently, though we're hoping to have around 25 by the end of the year if everything goes well. And they cover more than 50 countries. And as I said, everything is growing all the time. We are a global network of Passive House stakeholders, and that really covers the whole range from architects and planners to policymakers and property developers, as well as scientists and tradespeople, and sometimes people who just took an interest and are building their own Passive House, and they join us and tell us about their experiences. And the whole association offers a range of benefits, but more on that in a moment. For now, the motto of EFA, which really comes to the foreground this year, is think global and act local. So as I said, we connect the local to the global, and we do this by bringing knowledge directly from the Passive House Institute to local levels through membership, so through our communication channels, but also through our affiliate partners. Don't know why that changed a slide of its own accord. And we also bring those affiliate and those local best practices and lessons learned to the global level and share them so that we all benefit from knowledge gained all throughout the world. And as I said, there are a range of benefits, including Passipedia, which I'll explain a little bit later, the forum, a range of discounts, which everybody loves, and of course, many, many events, regular newsletters, free subscriptions, and the rest. So we partner with a range of affiliates, as I said, and if you are a member of an affiliate, for those of you in North America, that might be the NAPHN or Passive House or New York Passive House or Passive House California, or maybe Passive House Canada. If you're further north, then you do get an EFA membership free with that. It doesn't cost you any more because you are a member of the regional and the international associations by joining up with your local affiliate. And here you can get a sense of just how many affiliates there are. As I said, we've got 4 in North America. We've got 1 in Chile so far, but we hope to grow that over time throughout South America and plenty in the South Pacific and in Europe. And if your country isn't represented, then perhaps you'd like to found an association and you can get in touch. So I can't go into everything that we do because we do a lot, but I thought I'd cover some of the most interesting things. For one thing, we disseminate a lot of research and updates, including collating the affiliate literature from all over the world and research papers, as well as lists of funding and legislation available for Passive House. For those of you recently immunized, maybe you're thinking about a Passive House stay or a holiday, and we've got a whole list of places you can stay that have reached the Passive House standard. And of course, crosswalk studies with other standards. We also have a forum where you can ask your questions if they're not answered throughout a different medium. And that really covers pretty much every question we could think of. We've got the technical questions on certification, the social, job opportunities and networking, as well as international boards for specific regions. So if you're not using the forum, please do. It's a really great place to join the conversation and get a lot of really interesting feedback from the community at large. And as I mentioned, we have Passipedia, which is the Passive House Encyclopedia, as the name would suggest. For those of you who aren't members, you can use the front end of it with all the Passive House basics, free, as it is available to all. But for those of you interested in deepening your knowledge on Passive House, you can really only find the in-depth research and the peer-reviewed articles in the member-only area, which can be particularly of use if you are planning a project or you've got some more complicated questions. And we've also produced a range of fact sheets over the years. I think those started back in 2015. We've already got a few for this year. And they cover a range of topics as well. So always a really interesting summary of different topics there. And then we have, of course, the EVA blog. This is free to all. We really try to keep the posts regular. We do guides on topics such as thermal bridges and U values. We highlight upcoming events. We run a series of interviews with various Passive House professionals, including a recent series on women driving the Passive House industry. And I see some of those women who were interviewed, such as Bronwyn and Barry, are here tonight. So might want to check out those interviews, as well as a range of case studies and more. And then I think, yep, we're just on the second last slide on EFRA, and then I will jump into what I'm really here to talk about. So we've got the Q&As and webinars. We offer a range of in-depth webinars on various technical topics from experts at PHI, the Passive House Institute. And so they take place every 6 to 8 weeks generally. We had one today actually, and the next one is next month. So you can find out more about those on our website. And we recently completed a series of Q&As with different departments. Those were recorded and are all available on our YouTube channel, and they cover the work that those departments do, as well as the frequently asked questions they receive. And they're a really good way to get an introduction to what the professional certification and training department does, what component certification does, building certification, and so forth. And then finally, we have press and media. And this is, of course, a huge topic, and I have cut out a whole lot of other things we do, such as advocacy work and so much more. But to be quick and summarize some of it, we do produce a range of things such as infographics and informational videos. Here in the middle, you can see a recording of a children's book on what is Passive House, as well as on the right, you can see one of the popular infographics on how much a passive house costs. We have the brochure available in a range of languages, and we also have a graphic that goes out every Monday morning at 9 a.m. our time. So probably roughly the same time it is for me now. So like 1 a.m. for those of you in the US, but you can of course catch it up later. It is social media. And that covers what's on this week in the Passive House world. So you can find out, what events are taking place that week. So I am here today specifically to talk to you about our campaign that we're running this year. It is called Efficiency, the First Renewable Energy, and under the hashtag Efficiency First, we are trying to highlight how Passive House can help meet our goals for climate protection. And this came out of discussions with our affiliate partners from all over the world. And a decision was made that though embodied carbon and energy is an important topic, we shouldn't miss the forest for the trees. And operational energy also makes up a huge percentage of the resources needed to run a building over its life cycle. So really highlighting that efficiency needs to be the first foundational aspect of a building, and we also need to consider other aspects as well. So it is a joint campaign from the entire EFA network, and we are raising awareness for the vital role energy efficiency plays in meeting our climate goals, as I said. Importantly, we're highlighting that Passive House is global, that it's replicable, and that it's achievable, and really sticking to our motto of connecting the local to the global. Here you can see some of the translations available, including German, Spanish, Greek, I think that's Dutch, and Italian. For the first part of the campaign, we asked people to explain Passive House, and I just wanted to show you a quick video of the winner. So here we see a traditional or conventional build. It's more like a sieve, just losing all of that water, or a colander might be the North American term. Nonetheless, for those of you who can't quite see what's written, energy, carbon, money, and love, just burning through the colander there. The second part of the campaign was released in March, and it is the Efficiency First pamphlet, which details the benefits of Passive House, why we should think efficiency first when tackling building projects, and the ways in which an efficiency first approach provides a pathway to meeting our climate goals. It is available, like all of the aspects of this campaign, in multiple languages as well as regional editions. So there are editions for example, the NAPHN, and you can find your local pamphlet on your affiliate organization's website or via the dedicated section on our website. And finally, last week, no, 2 weeks ago now, because time flies, we had Earth Day, And as part of Earth Day, we released a new aspect of this campaign, and that was the Efficiency First video. So I'm going to show you the International Passive House Association's version of this. However, you can find localized versions on our YouTube channel or again via your local affiliate website. The video is available, as always with this campaign, in a range of languages as well.
Buildings. They play a huge role in our day-to-day lives. From the familiarity of your family home to the office you share with colleagues, the restaurants, cinemas, swimming pools, and entertainment facilities where we spend our free time, to the hospitals and care facilities looking out for our health, and the schools and universities where future generations are educated. Buildings impact our world. Yet today's buildings also impact nature in ways that threaten our collective future. Thankfully, achieving better, more sustainable buildings is within reach. By putting energy efficiency first, the Passive House Standard reduces heating and cooling demand by up to 90% compared to conventional builds. This ensures comfort, health, sustainability, and savings. Passive house buildings are dynamic, affordable, resilient, and stand the test of time. Buildings impact our lives and our climate, and it is high time to make our indoor environment sustainable for our outdoor one. Efficiency is the first renewable energy, and Passive House is proven to deliver.
So, as I mentioned, you can find these videos in a range of languages, including Mandarin, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and there are more underway. So finally, the activities and events as part of this campaign are planned throughout 2021, and we have plenty to look forward to, including some university posters for different faculties to attract students to better building while they're still at their pre-professional stage, a sticker campaign, many events. I don't know why my PowerPoint is just changing whenever it wants. Many events and other opportunities to get involved. You can find out more about the campaign using the hashtag #EfficiencyFirst on social media, and of course via your local affiliate website or our own, the EVA website. So finally, I just wanted to mention some opportunities to get involved over the year for yourselves. So we have the International Passive House Open Days. The next event is the mid-year Passive House Open Days, which will take place at the end of June. It will be online, but also in person where applicable. So perhaps for those of you who are a bit further ahead than we are in Germany regarding immunizations, you can offer live in-person tours. For those of you who are not, we are also accepting video tour submissions as we did last year. And it's a really wonderful opportunity to highlight the benefits of Passive House to those who otherwise might not get to experience it for themselves. So if you are interested in taking part, please do. We encourage you to open your doors or your camera lenses, if that's the only opportunity, and help show people how to build better. We do have a media kit available. You can see an example of it on the right. So we make it easy for everybody to participate, and you can find out how to sign up via our website. So, or by getting in touch with me if the website is, if there's too many details. We are also really happy to say we have plenty of Passive House projects participating in the Green Solutions Awards. Here are just some of them. The finals will be presented at COP26 in Glasgow later this year. So we'd be really grateful if you could vote for every Passive House project participating. There are no limits on voting, so you can vote for all of them. And if they don't win the final prize, they go into the running regardless to win the People's Choice and of course then national awards. And if you're already participating or thinking about participating in some awards this year, then I highly recommend you participate in the Passive House Award. The Architecture Award is put on every few years, We have some great sponsors this year, including SIGA, Swiss Space Ashok, and with support of the UNECE and the Nordrhein-Westfalen Energy Agency. You can still submit your building until the 1st of June. And if you've got any questions, you can check out the website, Passive Haus nope, I can only think of the German word. That's terrible. It's too late. -award.org, or by getting in touch with Aoife. And finally, we will be celebrating our 25th International Passive House Conference this year in Wuppertal, Germany, which is famous as pictured here for its monorail. It will be a hybrid event, so it will be taking place live in Wuppertal and also online. But for those of you who'd like to travel to Germany, we'd love to see you there. And we look forward to a successful hybrid event, regardless of whether you're there in person or online. So that's all from me. If you're not already following us on social media, please do. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And it's a great way to keep in touch with the Aoife team and, of course, the Passive House community at large. And that's it from my side.
Great. Thank you, Georgia. Thanks so much for your leadership and work on this campaign and for everything that Aoife and, of course, PHI do. We really appreciate you being here and sharing this all with us. Thank you.
And I'm so glad that I got the monorail song stuck in Mark's head. So, you know, objective achieved for the night, really.
Awesome. Thank you. So we have two representatives from the Instituto Latinoamericano Passive House to speak with us about the Conferencia Passive House de las Americas. So, and they're going to just do a brief intro to what's on tap for Monday at the conference. So we have Jose Sosa Rueda of the Board of Directors and Juan Manuel Vasquez, who's Executive Director of the Instituto Latinoamericano Passive House. So please take it away.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you to the Passive House Accelerator for giving us this opportunity to share with you the first Passive House Conference of the Americas. It's been something that we've been looking forward to my knowledge, since the end of 2019, which is where it was supposed to take time. So let me share my screen to give you a quick presentation on ILAF. We'll just do a quick brief intro on ILAF. It's the Instituto Latinoamericano Passive House. It's based down in Argentina, with our president, Marcelo Guanchuñir, being the first Passive House designer that was actually certified here back in 2010. I forgot that I have a timeline here for that, actually. Yeah, so Marcelo was actually certified in 2011, which was a very big surprise for me, because I came to learn about Passive House in New York City back in early 2015, really. And since then, you know, there's been a lot of stuff happening down there. I mean, we also had the first Latin American course back in 2013, first house in between 2013 and 2014, all the way down to the first actual course for Passive House designers in 2016. This is all down in Chile, which is kind of like the spearhead of Latin America in terms of high performance. So all the way to 2019, which is when the creation of ILAF happened. And Juan Manuel will be giving a little bit more information on that. But for now, just wanted to give you an overview of us. You know, we are basically trying to decarbonize edification in Latin America. We're trying to bring this to the forefront. You know, in the continent, we know we have a lot of stuff happening in North America, but, you know, there is a lot of stuff happening actually down there. We have the first Passive House certified project in Chile in 2010. From there, we go to Life Project in Mexico in 2018. We had the first hot and dry climate Passive House certified in Brazil. And as of 2020, we had one in hot and humid climates in Colombia, which is right now a research project, but that was actually proven that it can be done. And this has all natural materials. There's no manufactured material for insulation or any of that stuff. So a lot of good stuff happening right now down south. And well, from there, we go to our conference, which is merging sustainable development goals and the Passive House standard. And we wanted to touch on a couple of things, which I'm going to let Juan Manuel talk about.
Okay, thank you, Zach, for the invitation. And it's really good to hear your Spanish pronunciation. It's great. Yeah. So we have a special guest, a keynote speaker on our meeting. It's very well known by you. I know I heard some people from Santa Fe, New Mexico here in this meeting. And this is a cover of Edward Marzria from October 2003. I really like this when I first saw this picture because it's very searching for a very good impact, in what he's saying. So we have invited him. The point is that Passive House is not a very known language in Latin America. So we want to match Passive House with SDG, Global Development Goals. So the main message from our conference is that you cannot achieve SDG without a substantial change in construction industry. So that's what we are going to work on. And then to match all the SDGs with the Passive House standard, like, I don't know, the people from Spain talking about their huge work in schools and, CO2 measures in schools. And then we also have people that have maybe nothing to do with Passive House, but for us, a lot to do with Passive House, that are people from a university there in the US, that is Drexel University in Pennsylvania. They make a huge work in the last 4 years about Salurbal, that is Salud Urbana in America Latina. It's like urban health in Latin America. It's a very nice project, very incredible project, because really we are living very different from what Europe is living. We have many poor people here, many slums in Latin American country. We have a very special social, economic point that grab all our countries. And as I always says, I'm an agricultural engineer. So when the people talk me about that Latin America, it's a very poor country, I always says we are poor if you measure the income per capita, but if you measure photosynthesis per capita, we have, 6 times the power of Europe and 2 times the world average. So we're working a lot in photosynthesis material insulation for buildings. We have a huge alliance with people there in North American Passive House Network, Passive House Canada, also with Spain Passive House. And we want to bring over the table people like Felix Keupul, like he's an original people from South America, yeah. So they are going to give us a very the wisdom, on circular economy. So we have many things to hear from them. So here we are very happy. We are in a celebration time, and we are very happy to be here announcing this conference. We're very happy that with the speakers that we have over there. There is also another, maybe the second keynote speaker, that is Mathis Bagernagel, that is the guy that create the, how do you say, the global footprint network, yeah? And the guy that puts all the years the overshoot day. So we want to match all these things with the Passive House standard, and we want to get there with carbon negative buildings materials. So yeah. Thank you so much by my side. And thank you, Zach, for this time to be in here. And we wait, all of you, to join the conference. It is going to be in a simultaneous translation, so you can hear it over there. You know, it's a big effort for us, and we want you to support us there. So
yeah,
thank you.
Everyone is welcome. Oh, sorry for that. Yeah, everyone is welcome. We are going to have simultaneous translations if you want to learn a little bit Spanish or a little bit of English, depending where you come from. You know, that's a good place to start, especially in a technical construction world. And I just wanted to give a brief overview of the panels. You know, we're going to be trying to tie Passive House to a bunch of different topics, specifically, obviously, efficiency in construction. But the first panel, which is talking about the challenges and the climate emergency, and then talking about how policy needs to have a big impact so that our countries can start actually moving towards those goals effectively and with more speed. So that's all from us. We're going to be placing the link for the conference on the chat, and everyone is welcome to sign in. And you can choose which of the panels you want to attend, or if you want to attend all of them, that's also available. And like we said, we want to have everyone coming in. So if you have the link, please, if you could help us spreading it around in your network, would be a really good help. And that's all from us. Thank you very much, guys.
It's free. It's important point. Huh? It's a free conference.
It's free.
Yeah.
Free conference. Yeah. It's amazing. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Juan Manuel. We're all looking forward to seeing you on Monday. So we appreciate you being here. Prudence, please take it away.
Let me unmute myself. Wow, we have a lot going on. It's one of those silver linings. We're all just getting closer together in this new kind of virtually woven together world. It's great. So I have the honor of introducing our next guest, Tim. We heard a little bit about him before, but I want to tell you a little bit more. So Eian actually started his architecture career at the precious age of 3. Yeah, you heard that right. He started by following construction progress of his new family home in Germany. And as a young teenager, he then worked as an intern with his parents' architect, and then went on to master the foundations of woodworking in a carpentry apprenticeship and earned the prestigious title of Master Carpenter. And then later, he graduated with honors, earning an architectural engineering degree from the Technical University of Kaiserslautern in Germany. And he's got over 20 years of experience in both Germany and the US, and founded TE Studio in 2008 with a desire to take residential design to new levels of sustainability. That same year, he started designing the first certified passive house home in Wisconsin. And in 2009, he joined Stefan Tanner, architect of the Waldsee Bio House, the first certified kind of commercial passive house or institutional passive house, also in Minnesota. And Tim was a founding board member of the Passive House Alliance US, now called the FIAS Alliance, and he's also a visiting lecturer at University of Minnesota and many other continuing education venues. He and his wife are raising their 2 children bilingually in Northeast Minneapolis in their family home, which is called the Good Energy Haus. And it's Minneapolis's first certified Passive House Plus new construction home. Thank you so much for joining us, Tim.
Thank you, Prudence. Awesome. I'm so thrilled to be here. I greatly thank you and Zach and everybody for inviting me. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a contrast to the Latin American examples here with a cold climate passive house today. So just a sec. Excellent. All right, so welcome. I have the pleasure of bringing to you the Lexington Parkway Passive House Plus, which was the first Passive House Plus project in St. Paul, Minnesota, and also the first one that we did with our firm officially, as that program had not been available previously when we did other passive houses with renewables. It's a project that took a little while. We started working on it with our clients in 2012, took a little bit of a hiatus and then got back to it a few years later. And as you can see, it was sort of a 4-year journey of planning, design, and then construction. And yes, just to be clear and come back to our title, it does come in colors. The clients felt very strongly about the blooming cherry tree inspiration here. And if anybody's wondering, it's RAL 4006 traffic purple. A little bit about where we are on the planet. You can see the little dot on our passive house map here, St. Paul, Minnesota, US climate zone 6, very cold, about 8,000 heating degree days. And our winter design temperature is -24 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. And in the summer, we go to about 30 Celsius, so 90-ish or so Fahrenheit with high humidity too. So the excitement of our work is really in the fact that we have bone dry and freezing cold and hot and humid in any given year, and sometimes in a matter of weeks. A little bit about the location itself. We got a very unique site from our clients. We're in the urban core, but we're overlooking a park, a golf course, a conservatory from sort of a high point that faces south and west. So this is something that doesn't happen very often in the urban core, that you get a view. So we actually in the distance get to look at the conservatory itself. The site is odd shaped and has quite a bit of elevation to it. A narrow side access on the east opens up to the west with great views. A home was taken down that was in disrepair, but that happened before we really got to the site. So that didn't really play a role here, but the location itself for the house could only be moved a few feet back and forth due to setbacks. Here's a quick preview of the view that inspired us when we set foot on site. And the greenery, the trees, in the background, there's some structures poking out from the conservatory. Again, this is something that would be a big asset living in a city. An analysis showed we had great sun exposure on site, so we were fit for active and passive solar, both big cornerstones of this project here. So a quick preview of where we ended up, the southwest corner of the building. We have an open space on the second floor and lots of glass on the first floor, even so that we're here in a cold climate zone. You can see we can allow ourselves some of these luxuries and really take in what needs to be taken in. Our clients gave us a great list of ideals, of things that they wanted to achieve. You know, the views I talked about, accessibility, it became another big piece for them. They want to age in this building, had to be fully accessible on both floors, healthy interior, sustainable resources, energy conservation, comfort, low embodied carbon, and also huge proponents of pollinator gardens. So sustainable landscaping was a big piece of this puzzle here as well. I'll give you a quick rundown of the layout. We approached from the east. The garage had to go street side for practical purposes. You can walk around the garage. There's a joint entry area for both buildings from there, coming into a large welcome entry area that opens into the kitchen and then later the great room. The focus of this house from the first moment you set foot in the door is always out the southwest corner on both floors so that you get to enjoy the view that is offered. We have a small outdoor space, guest room, and a mudroom, which is something that Minnesotans have, which is a secondary entry, particularly for winter or gardening season, where you can shed all the wet and dirty and get into your clean. Quick impression, the front door in the background, open living space, the kitchen in the corner here, and the living room corner looking out this time in the winter. On the second floor, we're coming upstairs. We have an elevator in the building for accessibility. We have, this was built for just two offices and a master suite, again, with a main focus on the southwest. So taking advantage of light and view on this floor as well. And again, some quick impressions as you come up to the second floor. There's a corridor connecting the more public second floor spaces with the private ones with a lift and slide door, the view out onto a patio or a deck area from which, in all seasons, you can take in the view. Let me tell you a little bit about how we make passive houses in Minnesota in our cold climate zone, and especially this Passive House Plus. It all starts, of course, with a really good building envelope. I put the R factors here. I'm not going to rattle off the entire list. We can talk about that more perhaps after, but we have significant R values that we're dealing with. This is a wood frame construction with a double stud wall, cellulose insulated. The roof is a low slope roof, fully cellulose insulated. R values in the 50s in the wall, over 70 in the roof. The entire foundation slab area is insulated with EPS foam, and even in the grade, we're looking at R values of 16 going up into the 30s. These would be very typical numbers for a cold climate passive house in our area. And the windows are, of course, passive house windows with a very low U factor of about 0.125, all things considered, and a solar heat gain of over 50%. That's really powerful for us because we really heat the passive house with the solar heat gain. I'll show you some images of how that was all put together. It all starts with the proper foundation, and for us, all of our buildings sit on foam. Or on insulation, I should say, and foam is the most readily available and suitable product for engineering in our area. So you can see the EPS slabs laying down and then the footer itself being built right over the top of it. And the insulation is already put onto the footing here. So both sides have 4-inch EPS cladding. We've actually learned also, or some of our builders have, that the foam gets so rigid that we don't really need form work anymore. We just form the concrete in foam. From there, we have stem walls. This building had some architectural excitement and some structural excitement, so it was built in sideboard concrete, which is entirely clad with an EFIS system on the exterior for waterproofing. That EPS package basically guarantees that we have 0 thermal bridges. All structural components are entirely mounted on the warm side of that setup. As we come out of the grade, even the intermediate footing, unfortunately, that got flooded in this picture here, but that is sitting on foam, and the elevator core and elevator underrun is also sitting on foam. Later, the slab is, of course, sitting on foam as well. Here's a quick detail shot that shows you a steel momentum frame that we had to put into this building. There's lots of glass, so we had to create some rigidity with steel. But again, this is sitting on top of the concrete on the interior of the EFIS system, so completely thermally disconnected from the exterior. And a couple of impressions of how that comes together. So our buildings generally at the moment are framed from 2x8s, 24-inch on center, single top and bottom plate. So the entire building is a ribbon. You can see that really well in the shot on the right. And that's actually really cool for anybody working on the house, or if you own a building like that, because after the fact, you know exactly where these studs and trusses are. The steel frame was entirely buried in the wood frame, and then everything was over insulated with a secondary layer. So there, again, no thermal bridging. There's no thermal bridging from the steel construction. Here you can see these columns again, entirely on the warm side. This is an overview of where the storefront or glass facade was later set. So you can see we're transitioning to a steel frame there. As I said, the slab itself is also fully insulated. There's 8 inches of foam down there, then a soil gas barrier. Everything's taped up and then put together at the window location or at the wall location. Everything connects up. This took a lot of planning to make sure that it was thermally broken or thermal bridge free. You could see some of our sketches here. The facade itself had to be detailed in multiple places. We even have little compact foam pieces that guarantee that the edges of the slabs are completely disconnected from the outside where the windows are placed. And so then the windows are flown in with equipment here. They get heavy. We're always dealing with triple pane. This is a lift and slide door, and even though the operator was taken out, you know, many of these units tend to be in the hundreds of pounds range. So sometimes we need equipment to set them. Here you can see them in place, and the first time that the view and that space really started to emerge once they were put in. A conventional window also needs good detailing. We offer exterior motorized shades as a control mechanism for the sun. So we have to spend a lot of time detailing exactly how to do that. Our secondary skin, our eye joist layer, is the place where those go. They're completely hidden. You don't see them until they come out. Quick impression again of the double wall frame with some air sealing at the jamb before the window is inserted. Here's a kitchen window being placed into that layer, and then finally the shot of the window being in there. And this is a great example because in this photo, not only do you see the window installed in the airtight frame itself, but you can see the eye joist starting to come in to create the secondary wall cavity, and the space above the window would later then be fitted out with that shade retraction box. A few more details here. Our foundation walls, again, have an ephes on the exterior, so we have a transition from there to the wood system. And we're using Huber zip sheathing here with its tape as an air barrier and a vapor retarder. So a hard sheathing that's in the middle of the wall is great in a cold climate because people don't bust through it every time they hang a picture on the wall. The air sealing obviously plays a huge role for us, as it does for any passive house construction. So transitioning from the wall sheathing in the ceilings, we were using Intello membranes. These would also be used to dense pack through in the roof system itself. And as you can see, great care was taken in the build out or the fit out to make sure that there aren't any gaps in that system. And just a couple more impressions. Now the exterior walls are starting to be completed with the weather barrier, through which then the insulation for the secondary layer was installed. You can see one of those shade boxes installed on top of a window, and fur framing for the ventilated siding package, which then really completes the wall itself. And then comes insulation, lots and lots and lots of insulation. So we have a reputation in town now, people who work on our projects, because we use truckloads of cellulose. It's not uncommon that there's 3 or 4 trucks showing up on the day of insulation, and then you get spaghetti of hoses for the dense packing, which run into the building. Some of the precious air barrier has to be cut, especially in the roof sometimes, to get access and pack it properly. Of course, all of that is being patched together again with good tapes afterwards, and we test, obviously, the integrity of that system multiple times. So just another impression here, the 2x8 frame was also insulated with cellulose dense pack. And in this case, it's simply webbed and then filled, about 4 pounds per cubic foot. So that stuff is actually so dense in there. If you ever wondered about that settling, it won't settle. As a matter of fact, you're basically creating a custom bat in situ. So this webbing could theoretically be taken off afterwards, and the cellulose would not be able to move. On the exterior, the weather barrier is being installed, the fur framing is being installed, and everything's connected up to structural components to the windows, as you can see here. There are ledgers on the building. The structure of this building was quite exciting. We won't be able to get into that in detail today, but we have exterior canopy roofs and things hanging off the building. And I would say the point to make here is that everything that you see exterior to the building is hung off of the TJIs, of the eye joists. It is not connected through to the structural frame. And I take some pride in that because that takes quite a bit of detailing and working with the engineer to make that happen. But it guarantees the integrity of the insulation layer. We have no structural members protruding the insulation layers for these canopy roofs, for instance. And just a couple of progress shots here as it's all coming together. You can see the garage is already being sited. The garage itself isn't that exciting, but it is over-insulated. It's insulated better than a coat building in Minnesota would be. It's tempered in the winter. The clients keep it at 50 degrees Fahrenheit through the winter. So we also did a good job there so that it doesn't blow our energy budget. And it started to reveal itself for the first time here. You can see the second floor, outdoor space is starting to come together. The color scheme emerges. And another quick progress shot with materials being installed. One thing that's also important to us is using materials responsibly. So steel obviously is great in our parts because it lasts forever, needs little maintenance, is often from recycled content. And all the wood that you see on the project here is reclaimed ash from a company that harvests disease trees in our metro area and makes them useful for buildings. So obviously, as Passive House had to go through testing, this one here came in at 0.38 ACH50, which we found is average for our wood frame buildings. And the mechanical system was obviously dialed in as it needs to be. So here you can see somebody measuring a ventilation outlet. So all of that amounted to this wonderful building. We met the Passive House criteria spot on at 15 kilowatt hours per square meter a year for the heating demand. The heat load is always around 20 watts per square meter for us. That's kind of a cold climate conundrum we can talk about later or in another forum. We have enough PV on the roof to provide us with a PR requirement or meet the PR requirement for Passive House Plus. So just a couple of quick impressions. I know I'm running a little long here, but I wanted to show you how this all works under the hood on the mechanicals. We have a balanced heat recovery ventilation system with an ERV and a preheater in the building. You could see the rough-in shots here. Most people are probably pretty familiar with these systems now. It's a fully dedicated home run system, 10 pipes coming out, 10 pipes going back. We have on this system an external preheater just because the built-in one in the machine was a little undersized for our climate zone. But other than that, it is a fairly out-of-the-box system. I would say the only thing that's unique to us that I haven't heard others do is we have a smoke detector shutoff. So we connect the last leg of the smoke detectors to the system. It's something that our local inspections here make us do. And I think for good reason. It should be more obvious and probably mandated everywhere. Heating and cold and hot water. They share a space. That's why I'm talking about them together. We have a air-to-air heat pump system in the house for heating and cooling. That duct network is pretty conventional and insulated on the supply side. You can see the outdoor unit being installed. One outdoor unit here does the house, does the garage. And it's a 12,000 BTU unit, so about 4 kW, and that's all we need even in our cold climate zone. On the hot water side, we're using a simple electric resistance hot water tank. There's only 2 people living in the home, so it doesn't really warrant the investment in fancier technology. And we have PV on the roof, and we're using a wastewater heat recovery unit from the 2nd floor, which are the main bathrooms and laundry. So the cold water from the city is pre-warmed by the wastewater as people are taking showers and things like that. And the entire network of piping in the house is end-to-end insulated. Here's a quick overview of that setup in situ. You can see on the right-hand side, the indoor unit for the air-to-air heat pump. It functions and looks essentially like a furnace, just that it's run electrically. We do have a post heater, which is a good idea, again, in our cold climate zone. This winter, we had 30 days that were probably below -20 degrees Fahrenheit. And on the last 5 days or so of that, this thing kicked in once or twice. In my own home, I'm running a similar system. I use 60 kilowatt hours, I think, all winter in that setup. Other than that, it's a recirculating system with filtration, very basic. The hot water system, as I mentioned, just a tanked electric resistance unit. We have a circulation pump for comfort so that the master bath gets hot water quicker. Other than that, it's a very basic system. And then last but not least, we have shades on the building. We do have to control the sun. These are motorized shades with a manual control, so the clients have remote controls and they can ride them up and down to their heart's content. On other projects, we do that with automation. Here we have a wind sensor shut off just in case when the winds go over 40 miles an hour, the shades retract so that there's no damage. And the renewable package tops it off and completes. A 12 kW system on the roof produces, or is slated to produce, about 12,000 kilowatt hours per year. And in the first year of operation, which literally just concluded, we were within 600 hours of net zero on this property. There's a little battery too here, but that's really more for power outages. So the net zero goal was just about achieved. The first year is always a year for the garbage bin, and there was still construction going on and whatnot, but it gives us good confidence that the setup, the way it is, meets all the client's expectations. And then I'll close with the pollinator gardens. That is also in progress. This will be a multi-year project, but a shot here that's recent. That stuff is starting to come in again. It's the client's pride and joy in addition to the house. And it's just wonderful that the whole site tells such a comprehensive story. So we've achieved all the things we set out to do in various forms that I brought to you here today. And with that, I want to thank my clients, for hiring us and giving us the opportunity to write by the environment and create buildings that are awesome like this one. And I want to thank you for your time today and sticking with me through this year. And I look forward to your questions. And I want to remind you that Passive House is always foundational and not just aspirational. And thank you so much. I will take the questions.
Excellent, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to get the question queue out there because there were a bunch. Harvey's going to stay in the penalty box for a couple, so we'll get to him in a second. So we're going to do one question and then we'll go to Zach. So let's start off with Chris. You had two, so just give us one. And again, there's lots of Chris's out there, so this is the one Chris that doesn't have his location or his or her name. Oh, you can't ask, of course. Okay, so I will do this for you, Chris. Thanks for the notice. Electricity use monitoring. What product was it, Sense or Levington? That's the first one for you, Tim.
Unmute. Sorry. Yeah,
no worries.
The magic mute button. I got it.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm gonna hit this. We're gonna unshare your screen.
I was hoping you could let some photos go in the background, Sean, if it works. Yeah. So you'll just see some impressions coming through here. So the simple answer to that is there is no extensive monitoring system in the home. We're monitoring really just based off of meter data. And then the PV system itself came with a mild monitoring of itself. So we're going off of utility bills is all. We have other projects where we have detailed monitoring in place. That was not something that these clients were particularly interested in. They're really just looking at the annual balance.
Gotcha. Why don't we, so thanks for that. We'll come back with Chris's next question, but Zach, why don't you pop on just because there's a bit of a glitch, Tim, with the slide showing. So why don't we get the scoop from Zach and we'll come back with those slides.
Sure.
Tim. 1 second.
Yeah,
no
you bet.
Thank you. And thank you, Tim. This is really great. So I announced a couple weeks ago that with Rockwell's support, our founding sponsorship circle is complete at Passive House Accelerator. So we deeply appreciate the founders helping us launch the platform and now sustaining it with continuing major support. With the closing of the founder circle, we've opened a new category for major sustaining support, champion sponsorship, and we're happy to announce that SIGA is our first champion. So thank you, SIGA. So everything we do here at the Accelerator is thanks to our founders, our sponsors. Our founding sponsors are 475 High Performance Building Supply, Baxtingwe Architects, Mitsubishi Electric Train HVAC US, Partel, Glavel Foam Glass Gravel, Minotaur All-in-One HVAC and Dehumidification, RDH Building Science, Rockwool, Stocorp, and Zola Windows. Our champion sponsor is SIGA, and our stakeholder partner is NYSERDA. Thank you too to our patron sponsors, Aero Barrier, BR+A Consulting Engineers, Brennan Air Tightness and Insulation, Innotech Windows and Doors, and US Engineered Wood T-Stud.